Hey guys, Alvaro here with Particle School, and in this tutorial I'll show you how to create this coffee bubbles effect in particle flow and frost. You can download this scene in this video description. You can download three scenes: the start scene, the scene finished, and the scene with all the materials and lights, so you can see how to create this bubble material as well. So let's create a material to this coffee here, because the bubbles will be created from a material. So let's create a standard material, and in the diffuse color let's apply a gradient ramp. Now let's apply this material to this shape. Let's call it bubbles base, and let's click here so it appears on the viewport. Now here in this gradient, let's make it a radial gradient, and let's keep it shaded. So I'm not sure if it's fine. Okay, we have to apply a UVW material here. Planar is fine. Let's convert it to editable poly again. And now, take a look at this material. In the white parts, particles will be created, and in the black parts, no particles will be created. And the size of the particles will be based on the grayscale material. So, in the middle, we need some bubbles. Let's make it white here, black here, and white here. Let's bring this black here, and let's create another black material here. I want this circle to be a bit bigger, so I think it's this side. Nope. Yep, like this. I think this size is okay, because we need to put our logo inside of this circle here, so it must be big enough to fit, so our logo can fit here. And now let's add some noise to it. I'm not sure, maybe smaller size, no, bigger size here. Yeah, the smaller size here, so it kind of gets a different shape, not too round. And now let's apply a noise modifier to this white and to this white, a noise map, and the black maps can stay like this. So this flag here is flag number 1, and this flag here is flag number 2, so we have to apply to both of those. Let's create standard noise, and let's put it here as well. Now let's make it smaller, like 10, and I want to clip it like this. So let's render and see how it looks. It's a bit bigger. It's a bit big, so let's make it 5 maybe. Nope. Let's make 0.7 and 0.3. Yeah, much better. Let's take a look how it works with the particles. But first we have to create a material standard multi-material sub-object, because the particles, you're gonna see why. So let's apply this material here, and let's press 6 to open the particle view. And let's create a standard flow with a birth texture. Let's delete the position, delete the speed, delete the rotation. Let's make it a sphere, 8 sides, and I think 7 will be fine. Now in the birth texture, let's emit stop on 0 and anti-aliasation parameters. Just click here, and the birth texture will be selected here. Let's bring it here a little bit, and let's select the particle flow source. I don't want anything on here, so we can see our particles better. Here with the birth texture, we can select the emitters here, and we want it to be the bubbles base. And I want to separate the particles. I know that the particles have 7 of size and it's spherical, so let's make it this distance from each other. And then we want this option here, adjust by scale factor. But to have this option, you have to, here on scale factor, you have this option and you select submaterial. And that's why we have to apply a submaterial here. Otherwise, it don't get it. And now the particles generated on the white areas will have 100% of its size, or 7, and in the black area will be 10% of the size. Not in the very black area, but in a very close to black area. And it will be like 0.7. And we have to change this whiteness here, because like this, the particles will be mostly on the white areas and not on the gray. But we can make, like 0 would be black, and this would be almost black. So we have no particles on the black area, like this. Let's change the stop to 0. And let's click on this option here, adjust by scale factor. Let's just check it, everything's okay. Submaterial 1. Yep. Let's save the scene, do it really, and click here. So now I will check this option here only when selected. No, show particles like never, because it just showed the seeds and I don't really want to see the seeds. And here, let's put it here. So we have not enough particles because we need to show 100 here. And here I want to set it to frame and frame. So it looks fine, but we can tweak. I just have to show you something that I forgot. This bubbles base, it have like, it's not very plain. It have this elevation here, because coffee in real life, when the bubbles are close to the mug, they kind of act this way because the coffee acts this way. If you take a look on your coffee when you're drinking it, just take a look, it kind of climbs on the mug when it touches with the surface. It kind of has some tension there. And we have this tension with the bubbles as well, so we'll see how to work with this later. Okay, now let's play with the material. So this noise here, I'm gonna make it off here so it doesn't get too slow. Let's make it 6 and 5. Select here our birth texture and click here again. Not cool. Maybe 6 and 4. In fact, those areas are kind of black, so let's make it a bit gray. Nope. Okay. I worked with those values, so it should work now. Okay, it looks fine like this. But I don't want these bubbles to be like so small here all over the place. So here in my material, I will create another flag here and make it like this, gray, and another one like here. And bring it a bit closer to the black areas. Great. Yeah, now it's cool. We have like very small bubbles on the edges and kinda other size here in the middle with some big ones around. Let me just see how it works with a 10 here. Yeah, I think it's better like this. Okay, it's fine. Let's now select our particle flow source and start working in these bubbles. Press 6 to open it. And on top view, I want to select those middle parts here. So with the lasso tool, just press Q a few times. Let's select just the ones in the center. And let's make it display as geometry. Here, because the selected are displaying as sticks. And now let's create a split selected. So all the particles that are selected will be sent to this other event, show as geometry. And if we do it, you can see now. I will just here on configure, I will take this off. No, in fact, I deselected the particles. Let's select it again. And let's click here so we don't deselect it. Now all the selected particles are in this event here. And in this event, I will create a test so it will get the logo surface. This bubble base, now let's apply our logo here. Materials, standard. And you can take a black and white photo of your logo. In this case, I have this one. And let's apply to the bubbles base. Let's press Shift Q so we can see only this surface and click here. Okay, it's fine. But we need to see our particles. So let's change this to ticks for a while. And our particles can be big enough to fit here, our logo. So here on the material, I'm gonna change its styling a little bit. Nope. Like 0.8 maybe. Yeah, I can offset it a bit here. And I think it's fine like this. Yeah, that's okay. You can even rotate your logo here, but I think it's okay this way. Great. Now we're using this material to test the particles. If the particles are in the black area, they will stay here. And if they are in the, if the particles are in the white area, they're gonna stay here. And if the particles are in the black area, it's gonna drown or pop. So let's close it and let's make the display as geometry. And let's create a data test. Now let's click in auto update, and let's get an output test and a geometry. This geometry will get the closest point by surface, and we have to specify which surface with a select object, and then get the bubbles base and connect it here. Now we have to get another geometry and specify that we want it a point color, so we can link this point to this point and this object to this object. Now we have to output this, but the output test accepts only Boolean when we have a vector. So we can use a function here and uncheck the use second operator because we need only one. And this one, like this, we can have this length, and a length can be converted to Boolean, and Particle Flow is smart enough to do it for you. I learned this on the Autodesk area tutorials and the Autodesk Masterclass areas with Anselmo von Serra, and it's a great tutorial. You should take a look there. And like this, it should work already. Let's see what's going on. When your particles disappear, you just kind of switch off and switch on your particle flow source, and it should work. Now let's create another display here, and let's change its color to very fancy one so we can see if it's working. And let's do it again. And yeah, it's working. So all our particles that are in the logo are sent to the next event. But in fact, we want these cool particles to stay here and the other ones to be sent. So, and here on the output test, let's make it false to satisfy. So if the particles aren't in this area, they will be sent to the next event. Let's make it a bit more organized here. And cool. That's what I want. In fact, let's make it like this. Okay. Now all those particles here, the blue ones, will be drowned or they will pop, so we can stay with only our logo. So here on event 3, let's create a split group. No, a split amount. So 50% of our particles will be sent to another event. And they will drown with a force, a gravity force. Let's create it here. And let's apply the force here. Let's see what's happening. I think it's going like too fast. Yeah. You should make this value like very, very, very low. Like 10 maybe. Yeah, the particles are drawn in 15 frames. Let's make it 5. Let's try to make it drown in 1 second. Almost there. 3. Cool. Yeah, 3 is fine. but I don't want all the particles to drown like together. So let's bring this here, delete this connection, and let's create a age test here. Let's connect this. So 50% of the particles are being, of those blue particles are being sent to this event, and I want it to drown in like 50-50. So the particles will be sent to this event between frame 0 and frame 100. Cool. And it will take the last one here, the last particles will take like 30 frames to drown, so it will end around here. Yeah, cool. Here we have no particles drowning anymore. Great. And now those particles that left here, I want them to pop. So here on this split, we have all those particles are still here. So let's create a age test with another 50-50. Now let's make it a bit more, so 75-75, so the last one will stop here. And let's create a delete event here and send those particles there. So let's connect here again. Cool. But if you let's hide the mug, because all our particles are kind of going down forever. So let's create a deflector here, and on top view, a usual deflector will be fine. Let's make it a bit smaller. And here on this last event, let's put a collision test, and let's add our deflector here. It's very important the collision to be below the force, otherwise it can work in a weird way. So let's see if it's in fact on front view. Let's bring this like here. I think here, no, let's turn it off a bit so it doesn't get too slow. Let's put it right below all our particles here. We have particles front. Yeah. Here it's fine. Yeah, you can see our particles there. So let's bring it here and activate this. Great. Cool. And now I think like this it's working fine already, but those bubbles would never stay like static like this. So let's add some movement to them. Let's create a vortex so the particles can kind of go around. If your logo have a small like some hole like this eye here, it's very cool to put the vortex on this hole center, or you can put in the center of the mug. So let's see what's going on here. Let's rename those events. This one is the logo, bubbles. This one is the bubbles to pop. This one is the bubbles to drown. Oops. And this one is the drowning bubbles. This is the delete event, and those are the outside bubbles. I want those outside bubbles to be deleted eventually as well, so it doesn't stay like this forever. So let's create another age test here. It can be here. In fact, the age test should be outside, because we don't want all the particles to bubble, to pop. So let's apply another split amount here. And let's, I don't know, maybe 5%, just a few. Send them to this event. Let's see where they are here. Yeah, all those red ones will pop, so I think it's fine like this. Maybe a bit more, like 8, yeah. And now in 75, it will be sent to this delete event. Cool. Now let's apply a force modifier here with the vortex, and let's see what happens. So the particles are kind of going out to the center. That's because of the radial pull. So let's take it off. Now it's going out because it's too fast, but it's going down as well. So let's make it slower, and let's take this axial drop so it stays on the same level. Great. Now with 0.1 it's a very low value and it's still very fast, so we can increase this dumping here. Maybe 0.05. I think it's fine like this. But we need those particles to be locked to, not locked, but let's put a lock bond here. Just change it to this size so we don't get confused with this line. And let's add this surface here, bubbles base. Let's change it to lock to surface and restrict to surface. So the particles will stay on the surface, but this operator have like no force to keep it on the same place. So the particles will travel all around the surface freely, but it doesn't get off the surface. So let's see what's happening. Cool. since it's locked to the surface, we might not have to use this mug collision, so let's hide it. And let's get this force here and the lock bond and drag it to this next event here. Let's put it on top of the event, and it can be any instance. Cool. Now let's get those two. Let's make a copy and let's paste it. In fact, let's bubble to pop. Let's put it here. And let's bring it here as well. This one and this one. Instance. So I got only the lock bond. No, I don't want the split amount. Yeah, the lock bond and the... Okay, I just lost my force, so let's put the force here. Instance. And the force here. Instance. Let's change it to the other side. And here we don't need it. Just the gravity is fine. And let's see how it's going. Great. So we still have to put a force here as well. Yeah, it's looking fine like this. Now we have to make this logo. I don't want it to be affected by this vortex, so it don't get like deformed. But it have to move. So let's create another vortex. I will press Ctrl V and let's make it a copy, not an instance. And let's make it way bigger. And let's change it to counterclockwise. Now, let's see. I want this one to work to 150. The other one is fine with the time off on 100. But this one I want to be to 150. And let's see. Let's place a force in here on the logo bubbles event. And let's add the Vortex 02. And let's add a lock bond as well. And this lock bond will be locked here, locked to surface, restricted to surface with maybe 50, but this force will have like a lot of influence in the beginning. Let's switch it off for a while so we can animate this value here, and in 100 frames maybe it will be 0. So here it have full power and here no power. Let's switch it on and see what happens. Yeah, we can maybe a little bit less, so it just don't stay on the place, you know. Yeah, it kind of get this wobbly effect. My logo kind of can get a bit deformed, but if your logo can't, you can put more force here. But for me, with 25, is looking cool. So now those particles here, the pinkish and the bluish one, the lighter ones, it would be very cool if they collide to those particles here. And we can do it using the keep apart operator. So here the bubbles to pop will collide with the logo bubbles. So let's create a keep apart here. And never put operators while your timeline is like there, because it can take too long to calculate everything. So let's make it to turn off acceleration, switch on the speed limit, and let's make it like very low value, like 3 maybe. And let's change it to the relative to particle size, and let's make it like 25 of the particle size in the core and 25 out of the fall off. And let's make it collide only with the logo bubbles. This event here with the logo. And let's get this keep apart and put it on the bubbles to drown as well. The drowning bubbles is fine. And the outer bubbles are not colliding there. So let's see what's going on now. Yeah, much better. Now the bubbles don't kind of get interpolated with the school. Yeah, that's great like this. Now let's create the amazing frost by ThinkBox. So let's create the frost here outside. And let's add our particle flow source there. We want to work with union of spheres and use the radius channel. Now let's hide all our particles here and here. And let's bring it up to 7. So 7 in viewport, and in render we can put like a lot, like 21, and it keeps very fast. It doesn't slow down, really slow down your system. Now it's cool like this. So let's put a cache operator here and make it like put some more zeros here so it can get your full potential of your computer. And let's update. Yeah, now you can see how cool is it. So that's the bubbles, and it should work fine like this. But if you take a look in some coffee pictures on the internet, you can see that, let me see, here around the bubbles, it kind of gets attention in the coffee, so it doesn't stay plain all over the place. So we can create this with frost as well. You can create it with, if you're using Mentor, you have an option like blend with materials. It should work fine, but it's if you're working with V-Ray or another render, I don't know how it works, but in V-Ray it doesn't work very well, but you get better results with frost. So let's create another frost, and let's make a copy of this bubbles base, and let's call it coffee base. Let's select the bubbles base and hide it. And now here the bubbles base. I think it's this one. Nope. Let's select it. Coffee base, in fact. I will just make the pivot to its center. And on front view, let's bring this down like a lot, like this maybe. So what we're gonna do, we'll use the frost to generate a variation between the bubbles and the coffee, and you're gonna understand it in a while. I just want to change this school here. Let's apply another material. Let's make just a black one with some reflection, so I might render it later and it will be a coffee material. No, in fact I will never render this one. It was completely useless. But let's see. With frost we can create some mesh on other surface like this one, and it will generate like particles on all of those vertices. So let's apply another quadify and make it really full of a lot of vertices. Like this it looks fine. And in this frost here, the second one, let's select the coffee base just to see what's going on. If I bring it down, let's bring it way down. You can see the bubbles all over the place. I'm not sure if it's on the vertices. Yeah, it is. So let's bring it up a bit, like this. It looks fine. And let's add our particle flow source here. So now you can see that we have some variation here, but it's not like very good. Maybe it's too low. Let's bring this value here. In fact, we should work with metaballs in this case. Let's bring this radius up a bit. Okay, I think let's get the bubbles base and let's bring it up a bit more. And now here on the frost we have to remove it and pick it again. Okay, I don't know what happens. In fact, it's not the bubbles base, yeah. Just hide it. And it's the coffee base that I want. Coffee base. I'm gonna bring it a bit. Let's hide this. Front view, let me see, where is it? Let's bring it up a little bit like this maybe. And let's unhide my second frost. And let's remove it and let's pick it again. Okay, now it looks, I think it's fine like this. Yeah, okay. In fact, we have to enable this option here, use radius channel. It's using now a partial radius channel, like the size of my particles here, and here on the plane it have no size. So maybe 3. Yeah, I think it looks fine like this. Now we can add a FFD modifier. Let's just let's select all those. I just make it blue, and with Ctrl A I can select all the vertices. And here, let me bring it down a bit. So we have like a really huge variation here. So with the scale one, let's make it very, very, very thin. Like here, you can see on Y parameter, like let's make it like around 15. And I think it's fine like this. It looks very plain, but it's not. See, that's what we were looking for. And I think it's enough polygons. So it might change a lot when you're using these in Render. So here in Render you have like 3. Let's see how it looks with 3. Yeah, no, it's not cool. So let's put it 1.5 on Render as well. And then here we can apply a relax modifier of like 1. It should look fine like this. And now you just have to make sure that your bubbles are kinda on the coffee, not flying around like it is. So we can get this FFD and select all the particles and bring it up. Now it's fine like this. Yeah, I think it's okay like this. So that's the final scene, and I have to show you some important stuff that I changed here. First of all, you don't want to render the particles, only the frost mesh. So there's a couple of ways of doing this. You can just go here on the render operator and set it to phantom, but it doesn't really work with V-Ray if you're using it. So the best way, I think, in my opinion, is to do this is here on the particle flow source, you just go to its properties and it will be like this. So you just untick the renderable option here and click OK. Now it will render only the frosts. And this material here, I'm getting this effect using ambient occlusion. So let's check the material here. As you can see, I'm using this V-Ray dirt. If you're not render with V-Ray, you just apply a material, ambient occlusion material in this case, I'm applying it in the diffuse channel, but to get like a very realistic effect, you should apply it on the refraction channel. So with the ambient occlusion, you get the areas where it's transparent and the areas where it's not. And you just can keep these bubbles with this color. But it was taking too long to render, and I just applied in this case in the diffuse map with those colors here. So as you can see here, it's working fine. But here, these bubbles that are in contact with the mug, it shouldn't be like black like this. In real life, it would get the mug's color because it's transparent. But I think it's perfect like this, and it's render way faster. So another stuff is that this reflection here, that's the effect that we're looking when we create this coffee surface. And another stuff that I think it's cool to show you, it's in real life, those bubbles are not very round, very spherical. So you can just apply a noise modifier. I applied it in this frost here. So it's a very, very, very low values here. So it's just distort it a little bit so it doesn't get too roundy. And I also changed it a bit, this liquid, because those bubbles here wasn't touching the liquid, it was kind of floating. And in the beginning of the tutorial, we had a surface here that the bubbles could collide, but we didn't use it that. But you can use that so you can make some friction in those bubbles so it can stop when it touches there. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.